Good afternoon, Hebrew family. This is Raw Hebrew Relationships, or Raw Hebrew Remnant, coming to you from the Raw Hebrew Relationships channel. I hope you're all COVID-free today and healthy. I hope the needs of your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings upon those that are trying to deliver, recover, help, return to health, save boys and girls, babies, teenagers, and men and women from human trafficking, from sex slavery, from prostitution and child prostitution, from pornography and child pornography, from pedophilia, from molestation, going on daily in the United States and around the world. Double curses on those that participate in these heinous crimes that destroy the minds and bodies of boys and girls, children, teenagers, and men and women. Blessings also upon the homeless. 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States of America without a roof over their head right now. And the numbers are growing. And millions around the world in places like Haiti, in places like the Philippines, Afghanistan, in Bombay, India, and other places that not only don't have a roof over their head, but are not sure where their next meal is coming from. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom, and blessings upon those who are trying to help. Today, I want to talk about sex. More importantly, I want to talk about making love today. And I want to talk about it from an aspect that I learned myself over the 37 years of my marriage that I want to share with you and hopefully help you learn for your relationship. Again, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, psychologist, or doctor. I'm not a urologist, anybody in the medical profession professionally. I'm simply a man who has been married to the same woman for 37 years and who is a teacher of the word of the Most High, appointed by the Father to do that from the word. So that's where we're coming from today. One aspect of lovemaking that majority of people do not consider is the connection of the spirits of the two individuals involved in the act. And the reason this is not focused on more, in many places not focused on at all, at least not purposefully. It happens accidentally sometimes, and we'll explain what that means. But because of things like pornography, the spiritual aspect of lovemaking is removed. And there's a lot of factors involved, but I'm just going to make two basic ones that kind of explain that situation. A man is aroused mostly by what he sees, what he smells, what he tastes, and what he touches. The senses arouse a man. A woman is more aroused by emotional connection than the physical connection. Okay? But in the woman's desire, in a general sense, to please men or to be attracted to men, they lower themselves in ways to appeal to the man's senses and not to his spirit. Now once, or more than one occasion I'd say, but I remember a couple of times having seen a man and a woman in love. And when I was younger, I didn't understand when I saw a man and a woman in love, and I mean deeply in love, with him being a quadriplegic or in a wheelchair, and she meeting him in a wheelchair and marrying him and loving him. I didn't understand it because of my carnal mind. I thought, how could they do it? How could they do it? But as I got more mature and started to realize there's a spiritual connection. You see, before I got married, when I was fornicating, I would base my experience on how good the sex was. Okay? If it was like gangbusters, that must mean I'm in love. If it wasn't so good, that must be we're not supposed to be together. But when I met my current wife, and this will be true with most people, it was awkward because it was different. I was not, like I said, I was not picking her based on my former checklist. And I was still having a lot to learn and grow as a man. But over the course of the decades that we've been together, the spiritual connection that we initially had, and that was a spiritual connection, got deeper. And then I realized, and fortunately, I was fortunate, and I mean that. It wasn't like I was a good person or I was smarter than anybody else. But one of the things I was impressed, or should I say we was impressed to do before we got married, is not have sex. And at the time, I just felt like it was cleaner. Like I didn't want sex to be the determining factor of me deciding whether to marry her because, as I mentioned in a previous video, the Most High had chosen her for me. So I didn't want to have that as being either something to confirm or deny whether I should be with her. I wanted this. The Spirit of the Father had already told me this is her and confirmed to me by many infallible proofs over the time of our courtship. And that's the important thing we're talking about too. Courtship. Courtship is about connecting spirits. Before you can blend bodies, you really need to have blended spirits. Which is why it's important for the other two videos we talked about. First, understanding this person. You have to understand it really from the Most High, this person is for you. And then second, understanding you're going to change and they're going to change. You're going to become a new thing when you're together. Okay? So when the spirits connect, that's when true love develops. And one of the things that I've learned that caused that connection to get deeper is to learn a deep respect and honor for the other person. We dishonor and disrespect each other. There is a thing that's called a saying that says familiarity breeds contempt. And oftentimes when we get comfortable or familiar with somebody, for some reason, we automatically think we could disrespect them or we start to disrespect them. When you're disrespecting somebody, you don't love them. You might claim you do, and maybe you think you do. But when you really are disrespectful to someone, especially your partner, your spouse, you don't really love them. But when you connect in the spirit and you have an honor and respect for each other, you have a dignity. And let me give you the extreme. Abraham's wife, Sarah, called him Lord. Now, I'm not suggesting you should call your partner a man Lord if you're a woman. I'm not suggesting that. What I am suggesting is you should think, is this man worthy of you calling him that? And if you're a man, the Bible says, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Which also is telling us we should respect our women. We should have a connection of respect and honor. It should be developed before we have sex. If you have such a connection and such an honor, and you have a deep love developing in the spirit between the two of you, the sex is going to eventually be fantastic. It's going to eventually be, you have to get used to each other, right? In physicality. But when you have the start, the foundation of a strong spiritual connection of love and respect for each other, it's going to be all right. It's going to be more than all right. It's going to be dynamite. It's going to be dynamite. And I can speak from experience because, like I said, before I met my wife, I had sex with other women. And sometimes it was dynamite. And it was all based on physical. Okay? Now, I didn't realize at the time that spirits were inhabiting me from other women. And I'm sure my spirit was inhabiting her with other men. But when I met my wife, I was nervous. It was awkward. But over the course of years, and again, the improvements would happen as we learned to respect and honor each other for real, where each of us felt it from the other. Then everything was going to be good regardless. Okay, regardless. Whether the man's in a wheelchair, whether the woman's in a wheelchair, whatever the man looks like, whatever the woman looks like, if there's a spirit of love. And like I said, sometimes people have it naturally. There's some situations where people just meet and they have that love and respect deeply between each other and their marriages are good. And I don't know what makes that happen, when it just happens organically like that. But I do know that in the realm of the spirit of those of us in the faith of righteousness, we can allow it to happen. We can have it in our own relationships. And there was many times where I did not have respect for my wife. And I would pray to the Most High. I literally, oftentimes, when I was angry at her, when she was angry at me, when we weren't getting along, which happened a lot in the 37 years, I would pray. This is the prayer I would pray. I would pray, Most High, please put a love in my heart for her. Put a love in my spirit for her. Cause me to see her the way a man's supposed to see his wife. And he would do it. I would wait on him. The Bible said, wait on the Most High and he'll bless you. I would wait on him and he would do it. So that to the point we at now, there is no question in my mind and there's no question in her mind. We love and respect each other. There's a deep spiritual connection so that, again, I'm being real with you. There were times in my marriage where I wanted to cheat on my wife. I wanted to have another woman. And there were times when I wasn't planning to and women came at me in certain situations where we were alone somewhere and they would come on to me. And in each time, either when I was contemplating it or when somebody was letting me know you could have it, I would get physically ill. I would get physically sick. And I knew what it was. First of all, it's the Most High's way of saying to me, no. And secondly, it was the development that we were developing, even me was being unconscious of it, of love and respect and spirit connection. Before you get ready to be with your partner or to be with the one who you have been chosen to be with, if that's the case, make sure you remember, you must develop. If you want a successful sexual relationship, if you want deep lovemaking that's pleasurable, satisfying, makes you happy, you got to have a respect and honor for the other person. They got to have it for you. You got to have a spirit connection. You got to be on the same page in the spirit. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Otherwise, you're going to have many empty years. You don't want that. And if you are already with somebody, you can develop this. Pray for it. The Most High hears you. He will not forsake that prayer. Believe me. I'm here to bear witness. He will not forsake that prayer. Also, if you are contemplating, you're single and you want to get into a relationship, you want a spouse, pray to the Most High to prepare you. So that if you're a man and the wife is presented to you as it was to me and as it was to Adam, or if you're a woman and you are presented to the man as Eve was, you'll be prepared to endeavor to start the path, because you won't know right away, but you're going to start the path of developing a spiritual connection. That's what the courtship is about. And I would admonish people, do not have sex until you develop that. Okay, because it may cloud. It's going to cloud you. It's going to influence you. If it's really good sex, it's going to cloud your mind and you won't think properly. If it's bad sex, you're going to be unhappy and contemplating leaving because you can't deal with, 20 years of that. Make sure you connect in the spirit. Shalom.